Before the dinosaurs thundered across the land, the waterways were already ruled by bizarre hunters, sharks stranger than anything swimming today. From sickle-spined oddities to eel-bodied cannibals and giants that shredded mosasaurs, these prehistoric predators rewrote the rules of survival, proving the seas were never safe. Deep in time, long before humans appeared, there lived a predator with an eel-like body and a strange spine rising from its back. This creature was Orthacanthus. It lurked in ancient swamps, bayous, and rivers during the Upper Carboniferous and the Lower Permian, roughly 313 to 272 million years ago. At first glance, it might seem like an ordinary shark, but Orthacanthus had a look and a lifestyle all its own. Orthacanthus belonged to the group called xenacanthiform sharks. It was first named in 1843 by Louis Agassiz. Fossils have been found in Europe and North America, including the United Kingdom coal measures, coal swamp deposits of Kentucky, the Minto Formation in New Brunswick, and the early Permian Craddock Bone Bed of Texas. At times, it reached 3 meters in length, making it a large predator for freshwater environments. Its body was long, with a single stretched dorsal fin and, most striking of all, a sharp dorsal spine near the head. The teeth of Orthacanthus were tricuspid, with 2 tall cusps and a smaller middle point. They even carried special features such as an apical button and basal tubercle. Scientists have used these teeth to identify species like Orthacanthus compressus, Orthacanthus texensis, and Orthacanthus platypternus. Fossils show that its dorsal spine recorded growth layers, a little like tree rings, which can even suggest sexual size differences. This shark hunted fishes and tetrapods. Coprolites, or fossilized droppings from New Brunswick, contain the teeth of young xenacanths, proving cannibalism. Orthacanthus may have even fed on smaller xenacanths such as triados. Evidence also points to spiral failure egg cases as belonging to this group. In the swamps of Kentucky, in the rivers of Texas, and in the estuaries of Canada, Orthacanthus was an apex predator with unusual habits. Its story remains written in teeth, spines, and even droppings. Long before the age of dinosaurs, seas were filled with creatures that looked familiar yet carried some of the strangest features nature ever tried out. One of them was Stethacanthus. It was a shark-like fish with a dorsal fin that looked more like an ironing board than a weapon. It is time to meet the animal whose style confused both prey and paleontologists. Stethacanthus lived from the late Devonian through the Carboniferous, appearing first in the Furmenian Cleveland Shale of Ohio, then spreading through the Mississippian seas of Montana's Bear Gulch limestone and the rocks of Scotland. Fossils are also known in Indiana and Europe. This animal was part of the group Simoriformes, close relatives of modern ratfishes, which means they were not true sharks, though they surely looked like ones to their neighbors. The most famous feature is the spine brush complex, a dorsal fin shaped like an anvil with denticles pointing forward. Zangel described its microscopic denticles in 1984, while John Maisie in 2009 argued it was an example of dorsal fin modularity and sex-linked anatomy. Theories about its function include mating display, threat display using the head denticle patch, or both. It probably was not much help in swimming. Males grew the fin, while females did not. Other anatomy included cladodont teeth with a tall central cusp, large eyes, and even strange pectoral fin whips, studied by Richard Lunt in 1985. Braincase studies from Bear Gulch show big orbits and wide supraorbital shelves. Size estimates range from about 60 to 80 centimeters to over 1.5 meters, though the larger figures are debated. Species include Stethacanthus altonensis and names like Stethacanthus productus. Related forms include Acmonistion, the Bearsden shark of Scotland, described by Michael Coates and Susan Sequeira in 2001. Together, they show how diverse these odd holocephalan relatives were. Stethacanthus may have been small, but it left behind one of the most unforgettable dorsal fins in prehistory. The ocean has always been home to giants, and in the Cretaceous period, one of the most fearsome was not a reptile but a shark. Its name was Cretoxyrhina, but paleontologists often call it the Ginsu shark, a nickname inspired by its slicing bite. For more than 30 million years, it shaped life in the seas. Cretoxyrhina mantelli was first studied in the 19th century, when Gideon Mantell and Louis Agassiz worked on its teeth. Later, spectacular skeletons like QVP 247 at the University of Kansas and FHM-VP 2187 at the Sternberg Museum revealed much more. These fossils, especially from the Smoky Hill Chalk of Kansas, show a shark that reached 7 meters long and weighed more than 3 metric tons. Growth studies by Kenshu Shimada suggest that newborns were about 1.2 meters, with maturity at 4 to 5 years and a lifespan close to 38 years. Not bad for a fish with no birthday cake. The teeth of Cretoxyrhina were broad and smooth-edged, unlike the serrated knives of today's great white shark. Its remains have been found in North America, Europe and Kazakhstan, proof of a wide distribution across the western interior seaway and other Cretaceous oceans. Stomach contents and bite marks tell us what it ate. Giant bony fish like Xiphactinus, mosasaur reptiles, long-necked plesiosaurs, and even the flying reptile Pteranodon. It was not polite about table manners, often leaving tooth fragments behind. Some scientists, such as Michael Everhart, Martin Newbury, and David Hone, have traced these feeding interactions in detail. Cretoxyrhina lived from the late Albian to the late Campanian, about 106 to 72 million years ago. It was one of the top predators of its time, and when it disappeared, other hunters like mosasaurs rose to fill its place. The Ginsu shark cut a deep chapter in ocean history. Long before people walked the earth, some seas held strange and small creatures with unexpected shapes. One of the most curious was called Falcatus. This name comes from Latin, where Falcatus means sickle-shaped. That word shows up often in science because many animals and plants carry curved parts. But the most striking story belongs to the ancient fish with the same name. Falcatus lived about 325 million years ago in what is now central Montana. Fossils of this creature are found in the Bear Gulch limestone of the Heath Formation, a bay or lagoon that trapped life with rare detail. This little cartilaginous fish reached only about 25 to 30 centimeters in length. It had cladodont teeth, sclerotic rings around its eyes, and jaws that scientists call amphistylic. Yet what makes it unforgettable is the curved dorsal fin spine. Males carried a long spine that bent forward over the head. Females did not, which shows sexual dimorphism. Some think it was used in courtship or maybe in battles that were not exactly friendly. The fossil was first described in 1883 as Physonomus falcatus. Later, in 1985, full specimens proved it was a new genus now simply called Falcatus. The genus belongs to the extinct order Simorieformes, which appeared in the late Devonian and mostly vanished by the early Permian. Other strange fish like Damocles swam nearby. The community at Bear Gulch looked more like a natural museum than an ocean. The word Falcatus did not stop with this shark-like fish. It also names Afrocarpus falcatus, a large African conifer, and Euroscinus falcatus, the Australian tree known as blush cudgery. In fossils, there is even Cambrorasta falcatus, a Cambrian radiodont nicknamed the Roomba of the Cambrian. A simple Latin word, sickle-shaped, has left its mark across forests, ancient seas, and stone beds of the world.